Welcome to Dose with Grace. I hope you're doing well and taking very good care of yourself. I'm so happy to come back on Dose with Grace to share something very sacred, very fulfilling, and uplifting for all of us. It is uplifting because, in general, this teaching or this learning uplifts the consciousness to divine consciousness. Now, you may ask, how does it matter? Let me make you think on the basis of one simple example. Think if two children are born in the same house, they are given the same set of parents and are very consciously raised with exactly the same upbringing, same schooling, same set of neighbors, same environment. How is it that their own response and the vision to life is so different? Another example, think of one thing right now that is bothering you. It can be a very simple or small thing, like you want to reach somewhere and you're stuck in traffic, or it can be something very big as a crisis that you're dealing with. Whatever it is, just close your eyes and just make it into a statement that this is what you're going through. Now, try to take a physical distance away from yourself and observe yourself as someone who's sitting, closing their eyes and thinking of this. Now think of that person who stepped away, not as just you, but as some person who you know in your neighbor, or you know in your friend group, or someone who's very different from you in personality and behavior. And then imagine that person is witnessing you. Are they also feeling this to be as gruesome, as problematic as what you're feeling it to be? Is your problem having the same level of intensity for anyone else? Or do you feel someone else's problem is viewed by you in exactly the same manner? It isn't. So what is that difference? It is not the disconcern or unconcern towards the other person. It is a different level of consciousness from where we engage with life. And hence, it is so important to talk about what is our level of consciousness. Because when we are in a low level of consciousness, a very dense level of consciousness, not only we experience more anxiety, more fears, more sense of worrying, or get easily hurt by people or affected by what is happening around us, by telling ourselves the story of comparison, criticism, and endless desires that keep the level of dissatisfaction within us. Not only that, but due to this state of consciousness, very heaviness that we are in, and we bring or attract all of this due to that, which is unpleasant associations, sense of dissatisfaction, and all these things. But we also act from that space. We act from the space of dissatisfaction. We act from the space or the consciousness of comparison, competition. We act from the space of constant sense of validation. And that is what we give out. So not only we create this blanket of negativity within us, but we also kind of emanate that around us. So those who are more susceptible or more impressionable also get engulfed in it. A very simple example of that would be if you have someone who trusts you completely, and if you start sharing your anxiety about a certain place, that this place is not good to go, this place has a lot of discomfort, this place, my travel experience to this place wasn't so good, or the people there are not so friendly, or you may not have the right facilities there, don't you think your friend is going to get impressionated by all of this information if they are very trusting of you, and they might, instead of doing their own research, just out of trust and out of that circle of influence that you are providing to them, may eliminate that space, that place, that exploration from their list. So this is how we shrink people. We shrink ourselves first, but the reverberating effect, the effect of that is we also sort of shrink those who are close in our circle. The opposite effect of having a more positive, more light and expanding consciousness is the sense of trust, is a sense of faith, is a sense of duty, performance, and a sense of innate quiet confidence and satisfaction, contentment and a fulfillment through each and every daily acts. That kind of consciousness gives rise to actions like having more positive and more close longevity of relationships, having less, because more can always not is not always very fulfilling, having less but very fulfilling and contented circle of friends, having desires which are not uncontrolled, that are very much in check with the reality, and there is a sense of letting go in case things don't work their way. There's a sense of ease, there's a sense of effortlessness through their life, the acceptance of actions of themselves and the actions of others towards them or towards themselves. So these are very subtle and very finer qualities that they emanate. They have them, they feel more fulfilled with the same set of things that someone else feels completely dissatisfied with. They don't compare very easily unless they are put in a competition and they have to. They're genuinely supportive of the success and growth graph of people around them. They like to give their opinions in a very loving and in a very non-personal way, because it's not targeted at you, it is targeted at improving the whole, a group, a community, or in general, raising the consciousness. So such people will create what energy around them? What is it they're going to emanate? They're also going to emanate the same things. So they will have people around them who, when they come in contact with them, will also have the same kind of energy of collaboration, of contentment, of sense of fulfillment through doing simple things, and a general sense of satisfaction. That is why I said they have a smaller group, because mostly when you're very satisfied, you're not seeking too much. You're not seeking bigger circles. You're not seeking bigger entertainment. You're actually quite satisfied with what you have, and you operate within that sense of satisfaction to do your sense of duty. Having said the comparison between the two types, now we all come to know that how wonderful it is to invest in raising our consciousness. And very recently, a very good friend of mine asked me for a podcast on to share some to have a discussion, and I was quite surprised because we never discussed. It was very spontaneous, and when the podcast started, she said, I would like you to share something about Bhagwat Geeta and what gives you this sense of direction in life. And of course it is Bhagwat Geeta and a lot of other Vedic mantras that I chant. I owe my sense of peace, my sense of satisfaction, my growth, my ability to embrace my shadows, and my ability to love life with such humility and such sense of gratitude to the learnings from the scriptures and from the grace of God. It's not a theoretical thing, it's a very practical thing. I am a living example of how much I have gained from daily prayers, daily rituals of chanting, loving God, being in gratitude of God, no matter what the external circumstances, and loving this life God has given me to do my best service in their feet. You can have your own faith, you can have your own God that you pray to, but deep down, the underlying thing is faith, the underlying thing is trust, the underlying thing is growth over results. Whether you're achieving results or not, but are you continuously working towards seeking personal development through connecting with the greatest and the highest and the purest form of knowledge that is available completely free to all of us, and that is consciousness. Connecting with that in your silent moments, maybe through your breath work, through walking and chanting, maybe sitting quiet and meditating, whatever is your type. But there is always so much need for connecting back to the self. So in that discussion that I had with my friend, she had asked me a question: what are the top learnings that I have got from reading the text Bhagwat Geeta? Bhagwat Geeta, by the way, is one of the most revered texts. I don't even need to talk about its greatness and its potency. It is a living guru between us. So as much as you can drink from it, please do. It doesn't matter how many times you've read Bhagwat Geeta, please open the book and go and read it again. It doesn't matter how much you can read in a day, but even a little, little bit, few drops every day will also cleanse your soul. So as she had asked me in that podcast, and I think in a way I had given my top 3, but here I like to share in this particular platform my top 3 learnings from Bhagavad Gita, which I think are so relevant, not just for someone who is into everyday rituals or prayers, but for everyone, even the most practical, the most logical, the most anti-praying person, because it's so practical, so practical that it helps you sort of navigate through life with such ease and such sense of fulfillment. So the first learning from Bhagavad Gita that I like to share from you is the shloka that is karmanye vadikaraste ma valeshu chada kadachana, which means that we have the right to perform our duty, but we don't have the entitlement towards the fruits of our action. We must perform our actions as per the duty prescribed to us. And what is the duty of each person? It is very, very unique to them. It is not a single duty that is for every humankind. Even during different stages of life, our duties change depending on what is our dharma at that time. For me, as a mother, what is my dharma? I must know, and therefore, dharma is very specific to a person. There is one Sanatan Dharma, which is that we all must abide by the rules that are to live a life which is holy, not hurt anyone, have faith in the Supreme Paramatma, and be living our life to our highest potential. That is Sanatan Dharma for all of us, and that applies to each one, regardless of the age, regardless of the status, regardless of nationality. It is for any human being. But there is also Vishesh Dharma, there is also Swadharma, which is your own dharma, and then Vishesh Dharma, which means specifically at this point, I have a dharma as a person, but then at this age, what is my dharma? That becomes the Vishesh Dharma. So, for that, you have to read the whole Bhagwat Gita. But as per dharma, performing our duty is non negotiable. There is no way we shouldn't be doing the action to perform our duties. But at the same time, we don't have to be feeling entitled towards the fruit of those actions. We cannot feel entitled towards the fruits of those actions. And we cannot ever be not doing the action, or we cannot be attracted to inaction. So very clearly Sri Krishna says, do your duty, do not bother about the results, and never be attracted to inaction. Now, why is it my favorite shloka? Because on everyday basis, when you wake up in the morning, if you say, I don't want to eat my breakfast, that is your swadha. This is the dharma towards your body. You have to take care of your body, because the body is the instrument through which everything is happening. Your mind is dependent on a healthy body. How many people who have a toothache can fully concentrate and sit in a meditation? How many people who have a pus, something bleeding, can actually go to office and perform excellently well? So your body is a very, very important an instrument to serve your mind and your soul. It is not everything. We don't have to get over obsessed with body. It is just a tool, a subservient servant to our mind and our soul. So considering that, keeping this tool clean, keeping this tool pure, so that the right mind can dwell in it, so that the right mind can take us towards our soul. That is such an important thing. So performing the right actions as per our dharma is our absolute duty, but at the same time, feeling entitled towards the results or the rewards of those actions that we perform is not to be done. Why? Because most of the time when we are doing our actions, we are living in the moment, we are in present, we don't have awareness of what we have done in our past. And this is the journey of soul. This body is a small portion of living of the soul. So what this body is performing may be excellent actions, but there may be some very bad actions we have performed in our past. And therefore, when the rewards are to be received, they have to be as per the approval of the highest authority, which is Paramatma, which is God. And God is completely fair. God looks at our actions in totality and then gives us reward at times. Similarly, at times when we receive things when we are not really deserving of them, is also happening because of this very reason. Hence, this is a very complex shloka. Though it looks very easy, but it's a very it that's why this shloka is actually the essence of entire Bhagavad Gita. Do your action, but do not be attracted to the fruits of your action, and do not be attracted to inaction. Because when we continuously don't receive any results or rewards, it's a very natural thing to start becoming inactive or start giving up. If what your action is according to dharma and you're not receiving any fruits, then in that case, do not ever give up. But in case you have in the first place been performing wrongful actions and there is some sense of obstruction coming by you not receiving any results, then probably it's an indication. So having that discretion is again a higher state of consciousness. For that you have to read the entirety of Bhagavad Gita. But having said that, this is my first and the foremost and my most favorite learning from Bhagavad Gita, which according to me is the essence of the entire Bhagavad Gita. The second learning of Bhagavad Gita, which is very, very important and my favorite, is that whatever be the results, whatever you achieve, your success or your failures, whatever you achieve, we don't achieve failures. It may sound very funny, but yes, when we do face failure, it is also something that we achieved out of our probably actions that did not fructify. So whatever you achieve, whether it is success or failure, surrender it in the feet of God. Knowing why this shloka is so important, because this teaches us that nothing in anything do not keep a state of ego. The I should be minimized to just doing the rightful action. Again, going back to the first shloka, just know that you're the performer of the action. The true performer behind this is the God. The entire staging, the entire platform, the entire medium is God. You are just an instrument in the space. So attaching the success to yourself as well as attaching the failure to yourself is an illusion. That is where the operation of Maya is. So whatever be the result of your doing, whatever be the result of your actions, just dovetail all your actions to Almighty. Now, Almighty could be what you believe in. You believe in Ram, you just say, I credit my success to Ram. If you believe in Krishna, you just say, all my doings are done by Krishna. If you believe in Sri Shankarji, then you say, Har Har Mahadev. He is the one who is doing everything. I am just his instrument. Similarly, in other religions, whoever is your highest consciousness you believe in, whatever name with which you believe him or her, just take that name. Ma Durga is doing everything. I am just her instrument. Ma Shakti is doing everything. I am just her instrument. Ma Lakshmi is my guide and she is my coach. She is doing everything. I am just her instrument. Whatever the name be, it is the highest consciousness, the Paramatma, that is guiding you by whichever name, doesn't matter. But it is very important to acknowledge that with on an everyday basis. If you simple thing, if your son comes and tells you I've achieved this in my marks in my school, if your daughter tells you I've got this position in college, just say it is all the doing of God. I'm so grateful to God that my children have achieved so much. And if somebody tells you, wow, you're so lucky, you have such intelligent children, such beautiful children, just say, I'm so grateful to God for this grace. I'm so grateful to God for blessing me with such wonderful children. By that, we keep the humility. By this, by staying humble, by keeping our ego in check, we remain in the path towards God. This is extremely important and very, very, very lovable thing to do as a devotee. So, surrender everything in the feet of God and do it on a very regular basis. I do it like 10 times in a day. Anything. If I get some yummy food on my plate, I always say, thank you, God. If there was a power cut and power comes back, I'm like, thank you, God. You can say this like 100 times a day. You don't have to count. So, yeah, in a way, in modern version, it's called gratitude. The third and the very, very important learning from Bhagwat Gita is, we all know in the 14th chapter of Bhagwat Gita, it is a mention of entire three gunas. The three gunas we all know by now, even the Westerners know about it, the Sattva guna, the Rajas guna, and the Tamas guna. Now, when we take birth in this world, we are completely blanketed by these three gunas. There's no one in this world who can rise above these gunas. It is almost impossible to be devoid of these gunas, because as long as you have body, these gunas will operate on you. So Sattvic, Rajasic, and Tamasic are the very familiar terms. But you can be slightly more Sattvic, and then you'll have less of Rajasic and Tamasic gun. Or you can be more Rajasic, and then you'll have less of Sattvic and Tamasic gun. Or you can be more Tamasic, then you'll have less of Sattvic and Rajasic gun. But it is not possible to completely rise above them as long as you're in your body. And for some souls, even after they leave their body, there is one guna very strongly attached to their awareness. But definitely in a human body, it is very clearly said you are under the influence of these three gunas. Now, how to have a lesser and lesser of the hold of these gunas in you? That is, these three gunas can only be the impact can be minimized only by one thing, and that is being a sakshi, being a witness. Like I said in my previous one, there is an influence of Maya. So being a witness to yourself in as much as you can be, especially in situations which are extreme reactions. Suppose we are in a situation where we really don't have an answer. Mostly we begin there. Our spiritual journey begins when we are stuck. So if you're stuck somewhere, let's begin there. Try to witness yourself. Like I gave an example before, try to literally, physically witness yourself moving away from yourself and sitting on a chair right in front of yourself. And then just sit and observe. As a witness, you don't interfere. As a witness, you do not give advice. As a witness, you do not empathize, you do not try to cajole, or you do not try to give comfort. As a witness, you just witness. You're just a silent, quiet presence to yourself. That is just like how our super soul, which is Paramatma, is every moment witnessing us, our soul, operating into this world. And that is why I said there are karmic accounts. Just sitting and witnessing yourself can be extremely deep way to connect with our tendencies, to look at how we are operating as a pattern. And by doing that, by keeping the small distance between our doing and our witnessing, we create a gap in the hold of these three gunas, which is sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. You will see someone who's extremely lazy. Let's talk about the tamas guna. Someone who's extremely lazy, absolutely ignorant, and hence arrogant, volatile. Such person would, if they practice this, try to witness their own actions from the space which is completely private to them. It doesn't have to be done publicly. You can just sit in your room and think about your day and witness what you did through the day without attaching any judgment to your actions. Trust me, if you develop this ability with practice, you can start with maybe one instance. You sit and think out through it without giving any judgment to yourself. Oh, I was wrong, I'm so sorry. No, just be a witness. You will slightly realize that you develop a very, very deep awareness and a sense of discretion, and hence a much, much better clarity towards your actions even in future. You develop a sense of forgiveness towards yourself. You develop a sense of peace, and you develop a great sense of discretion between right and wrong, and hence giving yourself a great sense of direction coming from the place of clarity. It is very possible to do. Only thing is you need consistent practice. That is why even in Bhagwat Gita, Shri Krishna has said that where does God reside? God doesn't reside in a place outside of us. All those things, going to temples, doing rituals, are for us to engage through our senses and withdraw inwards. You will realize someone who does perform rituals in a very consistent and disciplined manner slowly starts reducing them and becomes more and more peaceful and withdraws to self. The ultimate state of yoga is samadhi, in which there is no external ritual. It's complete withdrawal of senses and complete surrender to the Guru and the Paramatma, which resides, you know where? Yes, that's what it is also mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. Right in the center of our heart. That's where the God resides. That's why they say, when you connect with yourself, you are guided by the Guru that you become. You surrender yourself, your own body, to your mind, and then slowly as you progress, you surrender your body and mind to your soul, and as you progress further, you surrender your body, mind, and soul to the soul, super soul, which is within you. So from here, you're guided very clearly towards every aspect of your life. It is possible. It's a journey, but very fulfilling and a very unavoidable journey. Even though we may not want to take it, that's the journey we all are taking. So if we take it consciously, we will enjoy it even more. This video was dedicated to the 3 top learnings from Bhagwat Gita, and I hope you enjoyed it. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.